Hey guys, I hope you're good. So in this video that I'm about to show you, it was some extremely tricky price action this week because we got stuck within a range, all on the H4. And it made things very, very difficult to keep track of on the M15, or I found anyway. I ended up getting a loss on my account this week, which was close to 3%, which is really frustrating. And I truly thought before creating this video that there was only maybe 2 or 3 valid trades to take. A lot of the video you're going to see 15 minute to 15 minute because there isn't really H4 to H4. There is 1 or 2 trades of that, but really it's just 15 minute to 15 minute, which is not what I normally trade. I'll give you a quick preview of what the screen will look like when it's finished. There's a lot. Now, I didn't spot all of these trades. Some of them were pointed out in the Discord group, but I didn't take too many of them. I just took a couple of silly trades and one which I just got wrong. But basically, it's been a very tricky week because it has been internal structure, creating internal structure. And at the moment, we're waiting between this high here and this low there, and we're waiting for a breakout in either direction. But the true trend is showing that we should be reacting off of this to go long and create a new high, which is what I'm waiting for now. But difficult week. The backtesting, I'm almost embarrassed to show off because if I find myself struggling during a week, I try to just backtest up to where I've been up to. So go back about a week, start backtesting and reset your mind. Doing the backtesting, you can get into a flow state, which is really quite simple and easy. The live market condition is very, very different. So I found myself getting chopped up and just not being sure where to follow the market. It's been really, really difficult. Order blocks didn't look very strong. The actual flow was very all over the place. It looks very bearish at the moment, without a doubt, but we have giant wicks up here and down here at the moment. Price action is very hard, but anyway, look, I hope you like the video. There's a little bit of chopping and changing. Right at the end, I got the score wrong, so I edited a tiny bit. Missed a couple of trades over in this last day or so, so I just added them in at the end. But anyway, I hope you like the video, and catch you soon. First of all, let's just mark out the charts. This was all marked out, I think last week when I was talking to somebody else, so I just drew up the charts. So the daily, we got a break of the daily high, which is good. I think, did we get a break of the weekly? Nearly. Let's look at the weekly quickly. Look how aggressive that was. That's just saying that, we're potentially going to be looking to break out now and start pushing up with EU, because it's been absolutely ages since we've had a bull market. So daily, that's cool. 4 hour, let's just mark out the highs and lows. Right, so the H4 low is there. The H4 high was at the end of the week, so let's draw that on. I remember a bit of the price action at the start of the week, but not so much as we're going through the week, so just going to be backtesting it like usual. We've got an area here, which is probably going to be quite interesting if price comes back to it, because I'd expect a reaction from here, not necessarily just a run through. It could be a bounce off, it could be, a continuation, whatever. But we've got that to look for on the H4. And then we've got this other potential order block all the way down here. All right, so down there. So I'll just mark that up as an H4. Now, within here, there's a lot of imbalance. All right, you could say that the rebalance is going to be based off the daily high, which, might be the case. But generally speaking, I see this as just a whole load of space, where there's an imbalance of orders, which means that it should run straight through here. If we get through this, price should run down, tap into here, give us some sort of chalk formation, and off we go. Back going long, hopefully. Right, okay, so that's the H4. Let's drop down to the 15 minutes. So we're just going from higher time frame to lower time frame. And what we've got, if we work backwards and we're just trying to find the swing point, we have got the M15 here. Oops, wrong one. And then we got another one here, okay? So 15 high, 15 low. Yes, we got a couple of breaks of the high, but we didn't get any swings in between. So this is the swing low. And therefore, we want to mark out our order block. So the top of the inside bar to the base. So that's the 15. Now, I remember looking at this at the start of the week thinking, It's too far away and it's too big. I'm not too interested. I was in a long from, I think it was here, up to here at the end of last week, and I was quite pleased with that. But I thought that this was probably too far to run. I was wrong. Bit of a spoiler. But look what happened. We had a big old drop right at the start of the week. So as soon as the market opened into spread hours on Sunday night, this happened. Now, not part of my strategy per se, but something which I've observed over the last, I don't know, 3-4 years, is that you can quite often just, not all the time, but quite often you can just try to close this gap and just literally close that gap. It'll probably work 5-6 times out of 10 just from the start, and just lead your way up to it. All right, so missed it just there by a fraction of a pip, but it does come back up to it, okay? But a nice, easy sort of gain at the start of the week. So with this, by the way, so we were looking, weekly was long, daily was long, H4 was long, and now we're on the 15 minutes. So the only real route which we should be taking is this is the 15 low, that's the 15 high. We should be looking for an entry into here to go longer again. But because all the daily H4, weekly, etc., all of that kind of stops on this line, just for safety, I say generally speaking, set your targets to this line. You could go back through time, so let's just go back a little bit so we don't reveal too much. But we could go back on the daily and say, right, okay, where's the next daily zone which we need to be aware of? It's probably up here, probably just this white candle up here. So I'll tell you what, I'll draw that on. But yeah, this week's just been a nightmare. It's not been the best week of trading, I won't lie. So yeah, that's probably the next target. And then H4, is there anything that we could run into potentially? Like maybe here. I think I'll set this as an initial target. So the press down to the press up. So that being a sort of secondary target beyond the high, just for the H4 purposes. And then there's another like middle one here, which doesn't look like it's much of a move for any purpose, but still, we've got it. Problem is that it's being rebalanced with that, so probably won't hold. But that's just a hunch. So we've got those 4 on the H4. So let's mark these up as the H4 as just in case. So what we're looking for is we're looking for a tap in. All right, we're either looking for a tap in on this M15 pressing up, or we are looking just for a breakout and then a pullback onto a new order block that's been created, and then carry on going longer. Right, so let's keep on clicking through until we get something happen, and we'll put the orders on. This is a valid order. This is following what the trade plan is. All right, so I think we either got tapped in there or next candle. Yeah, there we go. So gonna put the entry on. And on the 0.25, which is about there. Let's get that lined up properly. All right, so we've got that on there. We need to set our targets realistically. Now, we know that, following the plan, this is the nearest high to go for. It's a 3.56. It's not that impressive. The next sort of target where you might run into difficulty, which is where, supply started coming into the market, or it was the end of the demand of the previous leg over on the left. You've got that, which is nearly like a 1 to 6. But for safety purposes, we're just going to go with just breaking the high. Like, of course, price needs to carry on running to, continue a trend, but we opened the week lower and quite considerably lower. It was like, yeah, I don't know, 38, 40 pips, call it. So my confidence levels of taking this long weren't there, so I didn't take it. I should have done though, because it's part of the strategy. I had too many confluences saying, no, it's too aggressive coming in. But we did have this perfect sort of zigzag down, an attempted push up, didn't break anything, and then came back down. but what we had was such aggression coming down, I wasn't confident, so I didn't take it. It's one of those things where I'm trying to get better with this. I'm not very good with it, but my feelings get in the way of the trade sometimes, and they shouldn't. I should just trade the plan because the plan is profitable. I am the biggest blocker between becoming a multi-millionaire, if I want it to be, and the charts. You know, it's frustrating because the plan works. I get in the way. So anyway, let's keep on pressing through. Would have been getting a little bit nervous around there. And now there's nothing to do between here and here unless we can get into a pullback. All right. So if price comes back into this section, which has created its own order block, we will get in again. But you would want to take profit somewhere along here first. So take some sort of partial profit. Obviously, I'm just trying to hold my trades to the end without taking partials or moving my stop loss. Let's speed this along a little bit. Here we go. So we get our first break, all right? So I'm just going to draw this on the chart and just write down plus 3.56, which is what I think it was. Yeah, 3.56. So we got a really nice convincing breakout. All right, this was a complete body break from the high. You know, that was the H4, that was a 15. It was also the daily, a very convincing break. And then we just tapped into this next zone above, which is also good to see. Now, this is what I call this type of price action, something I call curved liquidity. I cover it in my group a fair bit, but whenever I see this, I always literally just mark on the chart whenever I spot it and say, right, that is going to get run. Someone's just going to tear straight through it. What we had after this break is we just need to look down to the lowest point and say, right, okay, this is our extreme order block. All right, so that's the extreme on the 15. This is possibly going to be an area for us to bounce off, but it's now miles away. It is, let's look at the number of pips, 130 pips away. All right, so we're just going to follow along with price action. We're now into technically the next day, we're into Tuesday. We picked up a win on the Monday, 3.56, nothing extravagant. But what do we have here? We have had a minor break right there. We've now got a low to break if we want to get in chock. So a bounce off of one of the higher time frame points of interest. Remember, this is an H4. This would be the perfect time to look for a short. And I saw at this point that there was two distinct possibilities, all right? So we've got the 3 wicks, which are deadly in my eyes, usually. They're just a strong indicator, especially when you're in a higher time frame point of interest, that the market is just going to start plummeting. Doesn't mean that, you know, it's going to go down to the next H4, but it's just a good indication that the market is really struggling to break higher. The only difference with these 3 wicks was that this final wick didn't sweep the liquidity of those two. You know, that was only one thing, but I remember this really quite well. Tuesday morning, I was out waiting to get my hair cut. I was in the barber's seat, just waiting to go into it, and I put something out into my group, and I said, there's 2 possibilities here of trades. Okay, there's a great trade here which you can take, which is there to follow up to the next level. So you could go like this. All right, so that would be one. The next one would be, if that doesn't hold, then we should look for an order block, a point of interest off of here, which again is just a confirmation entry off of this higher time frame point of interest, probably down to here before possibly pushing up long. So, you know, I'll put those out there, but I didn't set an order here, and I should have done. It was really, really frustrating because I saw a few people did, which is amazing. So, you know, really pleased for them, but I didn't. And I think it's partially because I was distracted just listening to this guy drone on about how boring his life was in the barber's chair and just waiting to sit there. So the first, you know, target could be here. It could just literally be a continuation of the high, but your second target should really be the next area, because we've now technically mitigated this one. So you've got one which is going to be like a 13R, or call it, you know, 13 and a half. And then you got one which is 6.5. So I'm just again going to be conservative because I'm doing a challenge. I just want to pick up as many small gains as I can. But this is one which I'm kicking myself over because we also noticed that we had the PPI coming out in the US, and historically that does nothing. A small 20 pip move, nothing. But we saw some massive news last week. I can't remember what it's called, but it was absolutely huge. And it looks as though the market is moving away from certain big news events and putting emphasis on historically smaller big news events, purely because they mean different things now to the wider economy. Anyway, if I'd have known that this was going to be a big move, if you guys traded it or not last week, you'll know in a second. But if I'd have known this was going to be a big move, like non-farm payroll, for example, I would say to everybody, don't place any trades here. Don't get involved. Just don't try. If it was a small little pathetic move, like what I was expecting, I'd say by all means put a trade on. So I should have placed my trade here. All right. But anyway, let's look at what happens. Price pressed up quite strong. It started pressing down quite strong, but then it created this sort of like stutter effect. So it came down and pulled away a little bit, which is what I like to see. So just a little attempted press down, miss the zone, and then tap into it. So I'd be more than happy to place an order on here, but a combination of distractions and all sorts, I didn't place a trade, which is really frustrating because look at what happens. Bang. All right, so that news event takes place split second after, and a huge rally. All right, so if you just set that target, you wouldn't have hit it straight away, but you would have got this. So 6.53%, and again, this is the conservative target. So plus 6.53. All right, so at the moment it's about plus 10. All right, so you're only halfway through Tuesday, you're up plus 10, or you should be. I wasn't at this stage. I was still on zero, really bored. Still on zero. There is plus 10 in the market, really frustrating. But what we need to do is look and see how price reacts from this. So price came down and it has broken the swing point for the 15. All right, so we technically got chock here, but it was a wick break, so it wasn't convincing. Wait until you get some sort of body break. All right, so body break came through, perfect. All right, so I'm just gonna move these out of the way a little bit, try to tidy it up as we go through. I'm just gonna check the time, see if we can move over to the H4. Tell you what, I will try to do the H4 from here so we can see how price looked. All right, so the H4 came through, it smashed through here, but it left behind a huge wick, which I don't really like. Especially this candle structure, I just don't like it at all because the body is about half and the wick is about half. Even though it's a bullish body, that just says to me that there's a lot of downward pressure. Yes, it was a red news event, but there was something waiting up here to slam us back down. And I really couldn't see this as like, the catalyst for like, oh, what an amazing swing in the market. It just didn't make too much sense to me. Maybe I'm missing something, I don't know. But generally speaking, it didn't look like the place where we look to turn around. So what we've got now is, what we've got now is a new H4 high, technically a daily high. So we're just going to put H4 high on there, and the H4 low has moved to here. Why? Because we got the break of the structure, we go to the lowest point, this is the H4 low. So generally speaking, we should be looking for any potential order blocks which we could get involved with. But I just can't see anything. Like, you've got a load of imbalance here, you've got an order block here which looks all right, but then you've got this huge wick candle as well, which is really chopping things up for me at this stage. So we do technically have this, which I'll mark out. So that's an H4, and I think that played its role this week as well. Then let's drop down to the 15 again. So we got this, but on the 15 minute, even though on the H4 that looked like an order block, this is, yeah, the curved liquidity, which is going to get charged through. So I didn't place a trade off of there because there was actually nothing down here to say like, okay, yeah, that's solid. Oh yeah, that's solid. Like nothing was solid. And the only sort of solid order block which you could find, even this had been slightly mitigated by this curved crap. And only this is the one which held, or looks like it would hold, because it's like a consolidation of a few orders. You know, it's about an hour's worth of orders just pressing in, so creating a nice series of blocked orders. Anyway, so our target really for the extreme on the H4 is down here. This is the furthest down that you can get as an entry to continue long. The thing which is throwing me off now is this giant wick and then how price had reacted to it. So this is what happened. Price reacted straight away. It created shock on the M15. And then it's a case of like, right, okay, so where are the order blocks now? There isn't anything in my eyes which is really solid. And the reason for that is huge wick up, wick down, press up. That's obviously an inside bar. Then another inside bar forms. So where do I place this point of interest from? Is it there to there? Well, that doesn't make much sense because we've also got this and we got this. There's nothing really that solid. There is a 3 minute up here, which looks a little bit better right at the very top, but the 3 minute, even if you trade in the 15 minute, it probably won't respect it. So I just see this as a huge line of liquidity for when we come back up to it, because it will just probably get run. But anyway, so let's keep on going. There's nothing clear on the market for me to say like, okay, brilliant. The only possibility now, I can't remember with this whether or not I'd taken it. I don't think that I did, but we've left behind that as a potential, you know, continuation, because it looks as though we're possibly going to be going down to here. The tricky bit is that if we look on premium versus discount, all right, so we're looking on the H4 premium discount. We only want to be getting involved with stuff which is in the green. If we're taking trades in the red, it needs to be going counter trend. And if we're going counter trend, we need to try and target a supply or demand area. Well, I can't really find any until we get down to here. So this would be okay for a short, but it would need to be all the way down here. And for that being a counter trend move, it's a little bit tricky. So just for the purpose of the backtesting video, I'm going to mark this up if price comes back to it, because I honestly just can't remember if it did or not. I'll draw it on if it taps into it just to save a bit of time. Oh, it does. Okay, cool. So I'll put that on. It is valid, but it's a very, very low, it's high risk, low possibility or probability. All right, so you'd go down to just the tip of that. There's nothing else really. Actually, maybe you would target the H4 point of interest, so really not far. Just going to, you know what, I'm just going to jump onto the H4. So you could go down to here as a target, which would make it very pointless. That's where you would target. It's a 2.89, really not that good. So yeah, sorry, when you're going counter trend, you just go to the next area of where the demand came into the market. So this really isn't much. I wouldn't take it because it's less than 3. Anything less than 3.5, I'm really not that interested. You know, if it's 4 and above, definitely. But anything less than, yeah, 3.5 really is my cutoff. But I'll put it on there anyway, just in case anybody's happy with, you know, anything sub 3. Don't remember what happens, so might not reach it. No, there we go, we smash it. So 2.89, that's cool. So that's another one which I won't actually put on. Maybe I should actually. Yeah, I will do. I'll put it on into the results. So we got that, which is good. And we literally just tore through this curved liquidity like expected. All right, so that H4 order block did not get respected at all. Why? Because when you drop down to the 15 minute, it gave us a bit more of a story that all of this is just liquidity. So our next area is down here. All right, so this is the only place where we can get long. And look at the strength in which it comes down to it. It's pretty scary. We had one eye on the clock thinking like, you know what, spread hours is in a couple of hours. And when we've got you know, the whole of the Asia session to go really, really slow and the spreads were a little bit widened. It didn't seem very wise. In all honesty, I forgot about this, which is one thing which has really annoyed me this week. I just haven't been on form at all, and it's frustrating because, you know, the week before and the week before that, absolutely on fire, probably for the last month or so. But then this week, I've just had a lot of things going on outside of trading world, and it's affected my trading. So anyway, this is one, and your target would actually be all the way up here, all right, because it's H4 to H4. So this would be your target, okay? It's a 19.4 trade, perfectly valid. And if you wanted to go a little bit more conservative, you just go to the nearest 15 swing, all right? So the nearest 15 swing technically is up here. So once it reaches there, which is there, it's a 10.4, all right? So if you want to go conservative, 10.4. If you want to go to the target, it's 15 odd. So as I've been going conservative all the way, we're going to go conservative, all right? You could say, just to clear something up, why is it not this swing here? Well, it's because there wasn't a swing created on the high. There was only like a pullback on the low. I want to see a swing, you know, so break of the low, cool, there's space here, and then there's a swing. This is the highest point between that break and that break. The highest point between this break and this break was there, but, you know, you've also got a higher high to the left of it. It's not really much of an order block in my eyes. You know, still, you know, still all right. It's an inside bar, but because of this wick coming down, you wouldn't want to continue that move down. There's a lot more to those sorts of things, but, you know, it's explained a little bit better within Discord, I suppose. But yeah, this would be the conservative target, so 10.4. All right, so let's keep on going. Let's keep pressing through and see what happens. So we don't get shock immediately. And I noticed that somebody did take a trade off of here somewhere. I think they took a trade off of this inside bar, which was really cool, but it was using some sort of internal structure. It might have been using the 5 minute for chop for all I know, but they took quite a daring move, and it looked as though it paid off, because they came up and they took their profit somewhere. Maybe it was that inside bar, I can't remember. But somebody had taken a trade here, and I was just like, wow, that took guts. Anyway, so this would have taken profit over here, and to be fair, that's a long time to hold a trade. It's 12 hours, so you would have held it overnight and probably just woken up to take profit, which is really cool. So that's a 10.4. Looking at this is frustrating me a fair bit. So 10.4. So that's at least one, and you could be holding it to the end. There is a chap in there at the moment who has been holding this all week, which is incredible. So his mental toughness is just massively improving. So he's been in this trade throughout, you know, literally from Tuesday night. He's in it right now as well. It's Friday 2:30ish. So yep, we've got that. Okay, so now we've got again, we got shock in the other direction, but it's actually from quite high up. This is where it starts getting a little bit tricky. Now I'm going to be talking to myself as I go through, because it gets very, very messy. It gets very, very difficult here, and a lot of us got thrown off. Yeah, it's quite frustrating. But what's it left behind anyway? So we got this break of structure now, which is good. You know, chock, not break of structure. We got chock right here. We go to the lowest point. Is there an order block left behind? Yes, there is. There is one right here. All right, so this is the order block left behind, and we can set up for an order if price comes back to it. So we've got that one there. All right. So we want price to sort of zigzag and just work its way up, or just press straight up, all right? But so far, so good. And you could be, you know, you could be looking at taking trades on every pullback, but these pullbacks weren't necessarily very strong. Or sorry, the you know, breaks of structure weren't very strong because they were breaking with wicks. So, you know, that was a body break, that's good. This would be the what's it called? The entry point, the point of interest. But I think I had an order sale for this, but it didn't get triggered. Yeah, literally just missed it. to sort of take it long. But then there's a wick. I don't like getting involved with a pullback after a wick. Then again, there's another pullback with a wick. Don't like that. Then all of a sudden we get our little bit of chop coming in the other direction, which is there. All right, so we're now looking on the 15 minutes at going down. So we got like a 15 high, you know, technically speaking, the high of the 15, like internal structure. And then we've got this leg, really the 15-minute leg is kind of here. You can say it's down here, but we got that. And we want to be trying to target the H4, so H4 high, H4 low, and there's nothing really too much to do apart from we can take a lot of internal structure. Now, it really depends on where you class as the internal structure. I believe I had a trade set off of here, or an order set off of here. Yeah, I had an order set off of this originally. So I'd left it overnight. So it was here. I'd left it overnight. You know, it's valid. Look before the break of structure. This was the last sort of pullback on this leg before the breakup. Generally, you could have said it was here or here to try and go long, but really this was the last like swing point. So I had an order set off of here, and it would be valid to take because you're still going long. All right, so I'm gonna mark this up as well. So like that. And then your initial target would just be here. And the reason for your target only being this swing high is, and not up here, is that we're not getting involved on the extreme. The extreme was this one. Now the extreme here would be this one. This is, if you look at this whole range as the leg, if you look at this as the leg, generally speaking, this is one of one, maybe two. It looks very mitigated. So one, maybe two or three order blocks. You know, ideally you want to be as conservative and as safe as possible. If you get involved with the extreme, of course, you can go extreme to extreme or extreme to end target. But because you're middle of a range, you only want to be targeting the same time frame, you know, swing or nearest high. And so anyway, let's keep on clicking. At the moment, we're technically bearish. We've just got like a rejection here. So this is something else, again, which has frustrated me with my trading this week. I've just not had my head in it at all. To cut a long story short, I had a few heart problems last year and they started reoccurring about a week ago now. And they just come on out of the blue and it's terrifying. The heart rate just speeds up to about 180, 200 beats a minute. And I can't slow it down no matter what I do. And you just think you're going to die. Just instantly you think, I'm going to die. It's really, really scary. So anyway, with that distraction coming on, I didn't mark this as a, you know, as chop because we didn't get a body break, but I was aware that we may have broken it. But anyway, let's keep on clicking. Price continued pressing down, which is fine. So we've now got a new point of interest, which is up here. I did take another trade off of here somewhere, and I marked up on the wrong bit. I have a feeling it was actually... Gonna have to check with my broker quickly, 1 second. You know what, I can't find it. So what I'll do right at the end actually is I will mark up on the charts where I entered, and you can see that I got unlucky with one, probably a little bit too greedy, and a couple of them it's like, what was I even thinking? Yeah, frustrating week. So anyway, let's follow the plan down. We have a break of structure. The highest point is up here. We have a secondary one which we could get involved with right there. If either of them come in, we'll take them. So that one we'd be in. It's not the best point of interest, but there's one here. And bear in mind, we're in internal structure right now. So the target really, if we take that, where is our target going to be? Well, we've already identified that this might be one, and then this is definitely going to be one. So the target is only going to be to the high of that, which is 6.42. And if we went to the high of this, it's 2.75. So really, that is going to be the target. It's not great. You shouldn't look to take it. So I'm actually going to take that off. It's not valid. Even though we had one here, which was less than 3. So that is a valid entry point. This is also valid. Yeah, we'll put it back on. All right, so we'll put that back on. And then we've also got another one up here which doesn't look strong at all because it's been mitigated multiple times. So we'll leave that one and we'll put this on. All right, so -1. All right, so let's put down -1. And should we put that on? It's this last, just so you're aware, it's this last candle. So technically speaking, it should be this one. It was the rejection point. And did we miss it? Yeah, we missed it. I'll put it on if it taps it. But the first target is just going to be to here. Why? Break a structure. It's the last sort of push before we start working our way down. All right, and like zigzagging our way down. Don't think we get a tap in. No entry. Okay, so there was that other potential up there. Didn't get it. So we're now stuck between this high and this low. So it's like another sort of internal structure on itself. We want to see a break of either. And there we go. So we now finally get that tap. So yeah, I remember this now actually. I took off my order. That was going to be the entry point. I took this off. Some people stayed in. Good for them. First target is just here. Next target, so that's 6.74. Next target is here. Why? We're counter trend on the H4. The H4 is still technically up. All right, so H4 is technically up. We should want to see a break of this high. The thing which is going against us is this giant wick and the way that price reacted immediately after. But following structure, we are going up. But price action and the size of the candles are saying that we're probably going down. We're just getting lower highs. At the moment, it's just sort of like waving downwards. So yeah, still just being conservative. Our our target is going to be here. So 6.73, let's call it. All right, so did I mark that one? Yeah, -1. Then we got this. So that would have hit very, very quickly. So plus 6.73. This is really frustrating me because I thought that there were only sort of 1 or 2 valid trades. Yeah, this is starting to really frustrate me. It's only when you're doing backtesting that you can, really make sense of it. And then what we've got as well is with this, we have a valid, we got the break, we need the body break. There we go, body break. So we've got a valid extreme over here, which you can enter from. So there's a valid extreme right here. And we've got another sort of like pullback here, which don't like the look of. We got another one here. I took a trade and a loss from here, which is frustrating. Anyway, so price is continuing its way down. We are getting we're getting breaks of structure on the way down, which is cool. Leaving a high, and then break of structure from here, leaving a high. So the new leg effectively is there to there. Yeah, it's only sort of like seeing this over again while I'm going on. That is really clear. When doing it live market and sort of having too much on my chart and sort of like doing different annotations and stuff, it throws me off a lot of the time. But generally speaking, you can set an order off of this. Just continue it down. Would you get enough of a, actually having said that, would you get enough of a risk-reward ratio? I think you would. So there's this. Now, if, yeah, so it's there. It's not even the low. We've just tapped into this. That'd be 5.74. If we get a break of this high, that would invalidate this trade, and it would make it, this is just the extreme that you can go for. So let's keep on going. Well, straight into it. I don't remember what happens from here, so let's just keep going. Blimey. Okay. What time was that? I don't remember that happening. This is beyond frustrating seeing. So 5.47. Wow, this is looking like an extremely profitable week, and I am -3. That's frustrating. And we have also tapped into this order block. All right, so we can now look to go long again. So that's tapped in. And where's our target going to be? Well, the first target is just going to be the swing on the 15-minute, because this is a 15-minute order block, and the initial swing is just here. So that's a 3.74. And if we go for the H4 target, because that was the major extreme, this is the next best extreme. Okay, so the next target could really be 6.55 if you hold it, but going conservative, so not going actually zone to zone and just doing 15 to 15, this would be the target. All right, so 3.74. We're in that trade, and we want to see a break of this to get shock. So just there, we want to see a break of that before we can confirm ourselves going long. Body break. All right, cool. So we're now going long. And then what can we say? Where are our valid pullbacks? Well, if we go from the start to the finish at the moment, we're going to look at premium discount. The only ones we should be looking at is here and here. This one looks good because it swept the lows. Okay, so this should be a very strong sort of order block. And then we've also got the extreme down here. So we've actually got two. So we've got, say, from there to there, the last sort of attempted push up, press down, and then break out. And then we've also got this extreme down here. So we have two of them. Would I split the trade in half? Probably, because I'm on an FTMO account. So do half an hour there, half a percent there, half a percent there, potentially. But they are two valid trades at the moment. What do I not like about it is that we're just breaking with wicks again. All right, so we're just breaking with wicks. I want to see a pullback and then a break with a body. So we're finally getting breaks, but they're not very good. So I should have been drawing on where these breaks are. Sorry, guys. Just realised that my face has been on the whole time without being picking my nose. Which came first? Oh, what there was no. Okay, so you get the breaker structure here. Oh, sorry, the chalk. It's there. This has mitigated that. Have we reacted from anything really? Not in my eyes. Yes, we've just rebalanced up here. It's just going to say potentially there, but that trades in now, which is cool. So this had an initial target of there. Oh, right, sorry, no. The initial target would have been here. It's slightly in the wrong place. But now, because all of that has happened, where are we going to target? Probably just here. And the reason for that is this was the last bit, in my eyes anyway, of supply pressing up with purpose before we got this chalk right here. So this, again, being counter trend on the H4, this is the safest target if we go here. So Safest target is that, because we're just playing about in lots of internal structure here. So we've got a break, we've got a new low here, new high was created over here. So any trades coming down, we should be looking to go long. It's really, really tricky, but really we're stuck between there and there. Like everything happening in here is just internal. Really, at the moment, we should be going short to try and get to an extreme order block before we can go long. This is what's been throwing me off in the live charts. Oh, there we go. And we're up to where we are currently. And it looks like we've had a nice sell-off. So yeah, this is really frustrating to see, because I honestly thought there was only one or two valid trades, because I just wasn't picking up on them this week. And sometimes you'll get weeks like that. You know, it hasn't helped having all this, you know, this health scare stuff outside of trading. But you know, this is frustrating me more than anything, seeing this. I should just have a complete break from the charts at the weekend, try to rest my body, rest my mind, because right here, how many times can you pass an FTMO challenge with all of these? You know, and how many actual losses are there? There's probably more losses on here which you could take if you're paying too much attention to the 15s. But this is really frustrating. By the way, I'm going to go through and just have a look at where my losses were this week, because they were laughable, absolutely laughable. So just after, how did I lose that? I think I was frustrated with this one. Well, this is embarrassing. So I took a trade which doesn't seem to fit my plan around here. So one mistake which I made, and this is a blatant bit of abuse on my trading plan. So I don't trade out for less than the 15-minute unless it's to refine an order block. So I'm just going to bounce back to here on the bar replay and just show you what had happened. After this break, right here, this is not a positive break, right? It's a wick break. It doesn't give me any confidence that the market is wanting to continue down. But I did see on the lower time frame, because I was frustrated, I just missed out on this trade by accident. So I literally just narrowly missed out. And what I did was I dropped down to a lower time frame, could see that we actually got a body break off of here. It looked decent on the 5 minute, and I set an order off of this here. Okay, so my order came off of that rather than the extreme, which should have been that, which would have given me a much better risk-reward ratio than this trade here. So if I'd have gone off of the extreme and just set my order like so. Oh man, there's too many lines. Let me get rid of some of them. I'll shrink that out of the way a little bit. So if I'd have set it correctly, and what I've been doing to make sure that I don't get tapped out with spreads is I'm pressing up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going up 0.6 pips when I'm shorting, and I'm pressing it down 0.6 pips when I'm going long, just to account for spread. So, you know, even there would be 3.48, which is okay for an FTMO. But really the target would be just like this one, where it was like, it was looking for that H4 demand coming to the market. So 5.5, you know, 5.38 right there. But anyway, I got stopped out right there, which is really, really frustrating, because I swear this was not a bearish candle. I thought that was a minor pullback, like an inside bar. TradingView does update later at some point sometimes, but really, really frustrating. So that was one of my losses. Another loss was, yeah, so the one which I pointed out before, which was this one. So yeah, I went long here. And why did we not mark this out? Oh, we did. We put it. Sorry, I don't think that we had put this down. So this is a -1, and it was also a -1 for me as well. So I took that, which I think following price action, it was valid. Sorry, just forgot that as we were going through. So that was one of my -1s. And then the final trade, which I wasn't happy about at all. This was more, I think this was more slight frustration. So I shouldn't have taken it, and it was at 6:30 on the 17th. So 6:30 the day before. Yeah, right here. So I had identified this. This would have invalidated itself. Not necessarily, because I was looking at this as the leg, which is the right thing to do. And it was pretty much like the EQ order block. But what I didn't like is that it didn't really sweep anything. It didn't take, it had like this wick above it. So it didn't create like a nice swing. You know, it didn't create a nice swing. It wasn't the extreme. You know, it's not the most powerful one to take. So I took another loss here. So I took 3 losses. You know, this one is probably the most valid. This one was idiocy. You know, that was greed more than anything. You know, I shouldn't have taken it. I should have been involved the first time round, and I was frustrated that I didn't. So class that as a revenge trade. This one was just basically getting it wrong. And then this one was also getting it wrong. So, you know, fair dues, but I'm -3. What has the week given us at the moment? And we could also put that down as a -1 as well, because generally speaking, it is valid. So -1. And just before I log off, I've actually just realised that I missed 3 trades towards the end of the week here while backtesting. And I also didn't mark out that we are involved in this trade, but it's not taken profit or anything yet. So it's still running, but it's not looking good. So yeah, there was a trade here which happened earlier in the day. Was it at night? Yeah, so I wouldn't have been able to take this because I would have noticed it, but 3.47 right here. There was another trade which, after we got the breakout from here, yes, it was a wick up. Technically, there was an inside bar which you could have taken a long from as well, because this trade had already been run. This one had been run. That was the only sort of valid setup. It wasn't the extreme, but it was another, you know, it was still in the discount section. That would have been a -1. And also there was this one. So when we broke through and we ended up changing direction, we worked our way back up. This would have been the valid entry. That would have been a -1 as well. So at the moment, what we're looking at is we've broken down. We're possibly reacting from these. Could be involved in this trade now. I'm not. And the valid entry would actually be this last candle up here or here. And it's just a case of deciding between the two which one you would want to take. But generally speaking, the market has been so choppy this week. I've really struggled. And it's been difficult to keep track of where everything is. But generally speaking, when we jump to the H4, this is what we've got. You know, H4 high is up there, the H4 low is down here. We had this press down, press up, so we didn't break the high. Another press down, didn't break the low, didn't even break this low. Pressing up again, didn't even break this sort of substructure high, and we're pressing down again. So really, really choppy week. And this is so frustrating to see the outcome of what could have been. And I've tried not to be even subconsciously biased with any of this. And it goes to show that, you know, the strategy works well, but when you're live trading, it can be very, very different, very difficult as well if you're not staying with the flow of the market. But yeah, highly frustrating, really, really frustrating, the break of this structure here. You know, 1, 2 entries, you'd probably have to take a loss there, possibly just to get this one, maybe. But this one looks like it's been mitigated by those two. Wouldn't be too comfortable taking either, really. Potentially, yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable with either of them, because we've not broken this high of the structure just yet. So if we look to go long from either of these two, it could be very, very tricky. You know, these should get run. We should be heading down at the moment. But anyway, yeah, that's the end of the video. Do apologise. Just wanted to go through and just double check and see if I'd missed anything out. I realised I had missed out 3 trades. So really, it is going to need a recalculation, which I'll edit. Yeah, just going to recalculate this real quick. 37.06. That's ridiculous. Yeah, really frustrating, because here I am sat on -3. So anyway, cheers guys.